Hey guys, I just met with the Colorado Youth Rapids team, and I want to really kind of bring you up to date because I think we know a little bit more than we knew before, and I don't get to be with you on Monday, so I just want to kind of give you my perspective and what I heard. So I'm also going to look at my notes a lot. But first of all, the focus is very much now on starting a new after-school program, and they had a tentative name for it. The Rapids After School Program is the name that they're kind of floating around right now. But it sounds like what they're really wanting from us is to kind of get input from families so that they can design that program to meet the needs of families and to be family friendly. The other thing that I heard in the conversation today that if you want, you can kind of probe on, but it sounds like the emphasis is moving away from the whole nutrition, healthy lifestyle component to playing soccer. And what they talked about is that they have their pay to play program, which is kids who pay and in soccer clubs and they're on teams. And then they have this after school program, and they're trying to maybe get the models to be more similar. And one of the things that they're interested in is in kids paying, families paying a little bit for their kids to be involved in the program. And again, you can probe on this, but it sounds like part of that is for commitment. And part of that is to kind of offset their cost. So I'm going to go in and update the questions that we have based on my conversations with them. I asked them to focus on the first 9 questions that we have, maybe the first 10, which is their vision, kind of what they want to be able to say and do. And then family engagement, because it seemed really important to them still. It's interesting that our questions are helping them think through kind of what they want, which is typical, just so you know, when you work with a client. So we're asking them things, and they're busy kind of building the program, and they need to kind of step back and think about what they want to do with the data. So this would be very much us kind of getting them questions or information that they could help with for building their program. A few things that they actually said today that I think could be potential research questions. And again, I'd like you guys to listen for this and see if you agree. One is around barriers to kids being in this new program, this after school program. One is around what prevents parents from coaching these kids, because right now the coaches are typically teachers, and they're hoping to move to a model, it sounds like, where it's more parents and maybe teachers, but the part of that family involvement piece is having the parents. So they would be very interested in us talking to the parents and kind of figuring that part out. Was what the impression that I got today. And then one is just a more general, the incentives and barriers for coaching, whether it be teachers or parents. If they move to the new model, they'd be paying the coaches less than they pay them right now. And so it's one of the things that they're kind of worried about. We talked a lot about different groups that we could interview. And again, I'm hoping that you guys talk to them because they hadn't really thought through everything. But it sounds like parents are our number one group that they really want to hear from. And then teachers and coaches is kind of the number 2. It also sounds like there's some potential for capstone opportunities. So if someone wants to speak to the administrators at the school about what they would need to have a program like this at their school, that would be very helpful for them. The other thing we talked about was kind of that outside funding. And so they would, right now, they do their funding internally. It's from the Youth Rapids. They're kind of like a foundation. They get money from the Colorado Rapids. They get money from the Rapids to kind of offset the cost, and they can do scholarships to try to help with some of the students. But they're a little worried about kind of that ongoing funding. So I talked to them about some of the places that they could reach out to. I mentioned Mile High United Way to them, and I mentioned Kaiser, the Live Well grants. But they also it's just kind of a little bit much for them right now. They really want to focus on kind of designing the program, but it would be good to know kind of maybe where they could turn to if they need some of that funding. So another potential capstone is kind of that, who are potential funders for them and what kinds of things they need to think about when they go to those funders. And that could really dovetail nicely with what we're doing, because as we're looking at the data, we can talk about what information we already have versus not, and maybe we can think from that funder point of view for them without talking to the funders, if someone wants to kind of do a scan of what's out there. The other thing we discussed is one of their things is really around cost, and they want to get some data really quickly. And so I offered to create for them a kind of a quick survey, which is kind of getting at like, how much would you be willing to pay kind of based on the age of the kid in school. And they had a few other things that they might want on that quick survey. we can do it as a class, or I can do it with a few other students. I think what we're going to do is try to get that survey out within, because they really want data before the end of November when people leave. So I think if we could get what's on that survey, it's kind of like this little side project, we could get the data collection tool out sometime in October. In November, we would have that information and we can analyze it, and that can help us in probing when we do our other piece, which is kind of talking to people. So I think that's, if we don't use it, I'll just do it for them and report it back to them. If we decide that we want to go ahead and do it as a class, and we can use that as kind of a starting point. My other big ask, actually my only ask right now is, they mentioned that a lot of the families only speak Spanish, and so I kind of asked if people spoke Spanish, and so I'd really like to know if you do speak Spanish, if you're fluent, and if you're comfortable doing the project as a Spanish speaker. They have staff that could help us, so we have other people that could help with it, but it'd be nice to have someone on our team who speaks Spanish, because I'm a little worried about some interpretation issues, right? So where maybe people, as they interpret, kind of put in their own thoughts and feelings. So if we have that capacity, that would be really important for me to know moving forward. And then we also kind of talked about the groups that they serve, and they've got all these different programs, and so that's going to be a little confusing for you when we talk to them. But they're really kind of focusing on this new, the Rapids After School program, which is those lower income kids. But they want, we might consider, as we do the analysis, looking at neighborhoods with different socioeconomic status. That's just something for us to think about. And I don't think we have to make that decision now, but as you're hearing them talk, think about if you're hearing that this is different in this group versus in this group, and if we want to get data from those two groups so we can kind of compare and contrast. I think that is all I have. Oh, the name of the other two people that we'll be working with are Megan and Melanie. And on Monday at 10:15, Curtis and Megan will be there. Melanie can't be there. They also, their team met and they're kind of working on things. And Curtis put together a preliminary blueprint that he's going to get me that I'll try to post to Canvas for you. So that's it. I will be there on Monday via Zoom. They're not coming till 10:15, so we have time to kind of get it set up. I can maybe answer a few questions before they get there. So I'd like you guys to be there at 10 and ready to talk at 10, so that we have a few minutes as a class before they come in and present. And I'm excited for you. This will be a great thing. So I'll talk to you soon.